Hello, wonderful students. How are you? We are very excited to welcome you to the start of your new study life at Macquarie University. Before we keep going, I would first like to do a sound check. So please comment to say hello and let us know if you can hear me all right. So here we have both our full degree students and our study abroad and exchange students, and you're coming from many parts of the world. For this session, we have students from Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. So good afternoon to all of you. We also have students from the UK, from Sweden, and from Germany. Good morning to all of you. We also have students from India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan. Good afternoon to all of you as well. And I think we also have students from many other parts of the world. So hello to all of you. Please let us know where you're from. For today's agenda, we'll be covering quite a few things, and I know that a lot of you have been through quite a lot of information already, but we will break the session into three main parts, starting with traveling to Australia, following with your welcome to Macquarie and everything you need to know once you are here, and then we will cover life as a student. So I'm very sure that you will all have many questions. Please, I highly encourage you to engage with us by commenting throughout the session. Let us know what questions you have, and also it will be a good opportunity for you to find some of the new friends and your future buddies here at the university. I would like to invite you to watch a very short video, but I think that you will like, because it will be all about our wonderful Macquarie campus. And after the video, you will meet Natalie Lee. And Natalie is our International Relations Manager, and she will go over all the steps you need to prepare for your travel arrangements to Australia. So with that, I will sign off, and I would like to give you a warm welcome to Macquarie once again.
I am the International Relations Manager, and I would like to introduce the panel before we start. So here we have Alicia. So she's the new students team leader, and she'll be talking about enrollment. We also have here Jackie, and she's from our Student Connect team. So she is also a student. She's freshly graduate, and she can explain all the various student experience to you. So we'll start with what we'll be covering in this webinar. So first of all, we'd like to help assist you and prepare to travel to Australia. So all the things that you'll need or anticipate to have before you come. Settling in on campus. Enrollment and orientation, as mentioned, Alicia will be talking about that. And life as a Macquarie student. Jackie will be discussing further in more details on this section. And then understanding how your visa and working in Australia, which is lots of students ask this question. And the last but not least, connecting to social media and things like that. Okay, without further ado, we'll continue on for the next slide. So traveling to Australia, what to expect. So it's very important that you all have a valid passport. So 6 months prior to coming, the passport needs to have some validity. Just make sure to double check on your expiry date of your passport. Another thing is your visa. Please note that you require a valid visa in coming to Australia as an international student. And it is important to know that you are here primarily as a student. So that is your primary function, as opposed to thinking about working. Don't focus on that so much, but make sure to know that it's important for you that you are a student here. ECOE, your confirmation on enrollment. You need your electronic confirmation of enrollment before including your letter of offer and your receipts for your tuition payments. That's quite important. And overseas student health cover. So before coming and stepping to Australia, please note that you will need to have health cover. That's very important. So once you arrive in Australia, make sure you update your insurance provider with your details in Australia to validate the cover. Plane ticket, we do suggest that you come a few days before orientation. Our orientation is happening on the 23rd to 27th of July. We'll talk further later on in the slides regarding that. But just to orientate yourself, and because you're coming to a whole new country, it's always good to come a few days earlier if you can. So regarding, border control, things like bringing X amount of cash, it is important that you're not allowed to actually bring exceeding $10,000 equivalent of cash to Australia. That you'll be visited with border control for that. So just make sure that you don't bring in too much money for that. Other important documents, we can provide you more information if you have any questions on that, but those are the primary things that you'll need to bear in mind when you come. So next thing I'd like to talk to you about is planning your travel. So helpful tips. So in regards to planning your travel, it is very important. If you do at the airport, they will have SIM cards available. So you can purchase an Opal card. There's SIM cards that you can purchase for telephone, and then there's also Opal cards. So this is what an Opal card looks like. And you can purchase that when you arrive at the airport. Very easy to do. Just know voltage in Australia is 240 voltage, and the plugs, we don't have a sample of plugs, but you can see on the slide that's a sample of what the plug looks like. And for electronic payments, bank cards, credit cards, and cash, they're both widely accepted among businesses in Australia. So these are just some tips that you may not know of, but may be useful for some of you. And free airport pickup. Great thing about Macquarie is we do have free airport pickup available for students, if you don't know that already. Just remember to at least have 5 working days before you arrive in Australia to submit and actually log in if you want to get an airport pickup. So the New South Wales International Student Airport Welcome Desk is also open 7 days a week and will be there when you arrive at the airport. There'll be a New South Wales help desk there. Okay, so we'll start with the first week at Macquarie. I'm going to hand this over to Jackie, who's going to talk a little bit about experience.
Firstly, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you all to Macquarie. So as an alumni, I was once in your position, and I can tell you it does get easier when you get here and you get yourself sorted out. So in your first week at Macquarie, I suggest you take the opportunity to take a look at some of our facilities, walk around campus, get to know where all your buildings and classes will be, finalise your enrolment and your timetable, and do all of the nitty-gritty things to set yourself up to succeed. Your first week at Macquarie... In your first week at Macquarie, I obviously recommend attending orientation. Natalie will talk about that a little bit more later on. And move on now to accommodation on campus. So if you haven't already set up your accommodation, I suggest you do that as soon as possible. So you can find the perfect place to live while you study. We have 7 accommodation providers on or around the campus, including residential colleges. They are Robert Menzies College, Dunmore Lang College, Morling Residential College, or you could choose to stay at the University Village. Now, Morling Residential College, Macquarie University College and Herring Road Apartments are all full at the moment. We do still have availability in Igloo, which is located in Chatswood. It's only a 20-minute train ride. Or Damon Apartments. We also have 3 recommended homestay providers. The thing that's great about colleges is that they actually create all your meals for you. So you get 3 square meals at the residential colleges. And also a great thing about staying on campus, not only will you be close to your classes, but you'll actually be able to attend certain events that the colleges and the village host. There's a great university and culture life on campus university accommodation. But the thing is, it fills up really quickly. So ensure you arrange your accommodation well before arriving in Sydney. We have an excellent housing department on campus that can actually assist you with that. If you'd like to contact them, you can via email. So it's housing@mq.edu.au. if you don't want to stay on campus, you can also rent privately. We suggest inspecting the property before signing into any agreements. You'll need to provide references, bank account details with funds, copy of passport, copy of driver license. You'll have to provide a bond, usually 4 weeks rent, fill out a condition report, and note any existing damage. Carefully read the contract and keep a copy. This is very important. We'll need this for future reference. Confirm which utilities you're responsible for, example, electricity, gas, water, and pay attention to details such as length of lease or inspections. Useful websites for accommodation that's not on campus are listed on that slide you can see up there. So we know that studying in a foreign country can be kind of daunting, and you're obviously going to need to create strategies for budgeting. So up on the slide that's showing right now, we've created a bit of a guide for budget tips, living costs. So the estimated living cost amounts to 19,830 Australian dollars annually. Rent is usually between 165 to 570 Australian dollars per week. Meals, so average lunch is usually about $16 per meal. Transport average is about 40 Australian dollars per week. For more costs on living, please see the reference link under that little section listed on the slide. Setting up a bank account and phone options, you can check out Gumtree for a large range of secondhand items and phones. Keep an eye on campus notice boards to pick up cheap items as well, so they're often posted there. Food shopping at the end of the day allows you to pick up bargains, so food tends to be cheaper at the end of the day, just because fresh food's made in the morning for the next day. You can also use reward cards and check prices to save some money, take advantage of a freezer by freezing meat, buying frozen vegetables, and freezing leftover bread. So we have numerous grocery stores here. Most notable are Coles, Woolworths, Aldi. If you're heading out midweek, it's a prime time for student discounts such as cheap movie tickets and meal specials, especially on Tuesday. And you should also check out MaxSync for free events, vouchers and competitions. So I've been in your position and yeah, I would take on everything in that slide. I want to pass it over to Alicia now, who will take you through some enrollment tips.
But before we do that, can I just have a show of people who are enjoying the webinar so far? Can I have a thumbs up or a like? That would be really nice, just to see if we're doing this well, you're enjoying your time. So I'd like to introduce Alicia, and as I mentioned, she will be talking about enrollment. So over to you, Alicia.
Hello, welcome everyone. So I'm going to take you through some things to help you make your enrollment process a little bit easier. So I'm going to cover some information about what to use to help you enroll, how to go about enrolling, and then what you need to do after you enroll. So going through what to enroll into. So the first starting place will be the enrolment webpage. So on this webpage, you will see lots of types of different students that we welcome to the university. So you just have to select what type of student you are. And then once you've selected that, then that will populate particular information for what you need to go through your enrolment process. So going on to step 2, so step 1's got a checklist, so all the things that you need to complete. Step 2 is the next port of call, which contains information on what you can study. So by clicking on the program guide, so I'm going to use the Master of Accounting as an example here. So clicking on the program guide, lots of choices and lots of variety of information for whatever program you're studying. But clicking on the Master of Accounting, you can see for session 2, we've got a program guide that has been created for new students commencing. So you can see a sample up there at the moment. Another tool, so I really recommend using the program guides, but another tool that you can use is the handbook. So the handbook is a really important tool throughout your whole entire study at Macquarie. The handbook contains all the degree requirements. You can see there on the landing page, lots of different programs that we offer. So continuing using the Master of Accounting, we go down postgraduate, land onto the Master of Accounting, and then that will have all your degree requirements. So they're all the things that you must complete to ensure that you graduate with that particular award. So that'll have sort of like the top structure information, but the handbook will also contain information about the units. So all the different summary information about what the unit is about, when the unit's being offered, and any particular units that you might need to complete before you can study it, and they're what we call prerequisites. So I definitely encourage you to have a look at that handbook webpage. So now that we've covered off some information about what to enrol into, I'm going to go into the how to enrol. So going into how you could enrol, so we're going to go to step 3. So step 3 has the link to what we call eStudent, and eStudent is the, I guess, the application where you're going to complete your enrolment. So once we click into eStudent, it'll land you onto the login page. And on the login page, you'll be asked for your student ID and a password. So your student ID, you should be able to find, I think, on the top left-hand corner of your offer letter. And then if you've never logged into eStudent before, the password will be your date of birth. So that's 2 numbers for the day, 2 numbers for your month, and 4 numbers for the year. Once you've logged in, it'll ask you to update and to change your password. So once we've logged into eStudent, we've tried to create a process flow in there for you. So if you look at the top toolbar, you can see items that are numbered from 1 to 4. So these are the really important steps that you need to complete while you're in eStudent to make sure that you're enrolled and you're ready for the first day of class. Okay, so the first stop is to make sure that your personal details are correct. So just make sure that that they're displayed correctly. And the next really important thing, as you can, that's highlighted on the left-hand side, is to make sure that you update your contact details. So it's really important that you update those to include where you're staying in Australia, so that way the university can get in contact with you. So once you've completed that, the next step before we can actually start the enrolment, you'll be asked to read and accept some terms and conditions of the university. So just make sure you have a good read of those before you click accept. So moving on to enrolment, so you'll see that on number 2. You will land on a study plan, which is what we call it. That's very similar to what I have on screen. So for those of you doing study abroad and exchange, you won't see something quite as long as that, but you will see the units that you're intending to study while you're with us. So as we scroll down through our study plan, I can see that I have been exempted for some units, which means that I won't actually have to complete those units while I am studying here. So they're marked out in red for you. So that just indicates that I've met those learning outcomes and I won't need to complete those. Okay, so referring back to the program guide that I showed you earlier, I can see that I've completed all the 600 level units that I need to take. So I'm going to move on and I'm going to follow the recommended study of pattern. So I'm going to follow it and enroll into accounting 921, 923, 924 and 926 for session 2. So at the moment, only 2018 unit enrolment is open. So when 2019 is open, you'll get a notification from the university to let you know that you can complete your enrolment activities for the next academic year. Students, if you want to, you can study in session 3, and that's optional. So that's a maximum of 2 units. So as you can see from the screen there, I've enrolled into 4 units, which is a full-time load. So in session 1 and in session 2, so session 2 is our next one that's coming up, it's a maximum of 4 units. And then for session 3, it's 2 units. And that's usually a full-time study load. So I've gone ahead and enrolled myself into those units. So other things that you might see on your study plan are prerequisites. So I mentioned that before. So items, so units that you have to complete before you can complete the unit that you would like to complete. However, if you feel that you've met the learning outcomes and you might choose to do that unit a little bit earlier in your study plan, but you haven't met the unit requirement, the prerequisite, then you can always apply for a waiver. So on the left-hand side, where I've marked in red, you can request a waiver. Just wait for that to change. And then that will take you to the login page where you can request for a waiver. So that's just our online application. So you'll need a One ID. So if you haven't activated that yet, that's okay, because I'll cover that later on in my slide. And then if you have requested a waiver and you are successful, you'll receive an outcome via email, and then you'll also be able to see the approval within eStudent. So you should be able to see that when you log back in to check whether a waiver has been approved or not. So in addition to the prerequisite information that I just talked about, we also have choices for students in their program of study. So some could be choices between units, and some could be choices across multiple disciplines. So just make sure you check the handbook, because all the information is in there to help you make those decisions later on in your study. So once we've enrolled, it's onto the timetable. So at the moment, you'll be able to see on your screen that that all the, I guess what we call traffic lights, are all red. So nothing at the moment has been selected for your class timetable for session 2. All we have to do is select register. And once we've selected register, there'll be a whole range of class times that you'll be able to choose. So as you can see, some classes can be full, but as classes fill up, new classes will be opened. So I've gone ahead and selected 2 of the activities that I need to do there. So for, I don't have my glasses, but counting 900 and, can't see that, 921.
Yeah, 921.
921.
Yeah.
There are 2 activities that you have to do there. So you have to do lecture 1 and a workshop. So I've gone ahead and selected a timetable, and then as I've clicked save, it's gone back out, and now I can see that I've registered in everything that I need to study for that particular unit. So you just keep repeating that process through the remainder of the units that you've enrolled into. So then after we've done our timetable, what do we have to do next? So to make sure that you're completely set up by the time you arrive, we've got step 4, if we refer back to eStudent. And on step 4, it really just summarises what you should have completed in eStudent. So that's going through your personal details, making sure you've enrolled into your units and you've chosen your class timetables. So if you have had any trouble with eStudent, we've also created some video tutorials there. So you can always click on that button, and then that will take you through the enrolment process at the pace that you need to go with. And once that's all complete, as I mentioned before, One ID, it's really important that you activate this, this account, because this account will give you access to iLearn, to your student email, which is the university uses Gmail, and it will also give you access to Wi-Fi. So really important that you activate this account before you come. All right, thanks.
Thank you so much, Alicia. That was fantastic. Could I have anybody can, if you want to have a thumbs up if you enjoyed that, and you want more questions and some questions that you have for Alicia, we will have a Q&A session at the end. So definitely put your likes if you enjoyed that session, and if you wanted more of that, definitely say likes. All right. So now I'm going to go over the actual orientation for the first week. As I mentioned earlier, we will have orientation on the 23rd to 27th July. This is a fantastic opportunity for you to meet new friends, meet your mentors, join a society, association, meet your faculty, activate all your accounts, schedule your study plan, navigate the campus, and understand all the services that are available. Remember your student IDs when you come during orientation, you can select that also and get your student ID, okay? So there's lots of things you can do. So some key sessions and important dates I'd like to share with you for this webinar is, as I mentioned, 23rd to 27th. For the actual international talk specifically designed just for international students, that will be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, okay? So they are the exact details as to where and what times at mq.edu.au/orientation. It has all the details there. Most of the days on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it will be sometime in the afternoon, and it will be in a lecture theater. So please don't forget to come to that. On the last day, on the Friday, our Vice Chancellor will also like to invite you and welcome you on campus. This is a great opportunity for you to meet the VC, and he will do an opening speech and welcome all the international students. We do this in every session. So this is a fantastic session, so please don't miss that on the Friday, the 27th of July. So all week, they'll have faculty sessions throughout. We've changed it from last session. We'll have faculty of business in the beginning, but then we'll have all the faculties, arts, human science, throughout the whole week, medicine and science and everything. For our MUIC students, just so you know, we'll have it during the week of also the 25th to 27th of July, during that week, and they'll have specific dates for you. And always have a look at the mq.edu.au orientation web link. Okay, hope that is helpful on that. So we're now going to talk a little bit about enhancing your experience. It's important, mentors, to meet your mentors. Throughout the orientation, we will have mentors there helping you, guiding you, and showing you where to go. MaxSync, I think Jackie talked a little about this. Sports and Aquatic Center, we have a fantastic Sports and Aquatic Center here for you. Amazing facilities, indoor, outdoor pool. I don't know if you guys all know, but alumni, Ian Thorpe, he is an alumni of Macquarie University. Fantastic facilities at our Sport and Aquatic. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about life as a student, and who best to talk about this would be Jackie,
Yay!
who is our student. So I'm gonna hand this over to Jackie to talk a little bit more about her experience, and also share with you some tips and things like that as a student here at Macquarie. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Natalie. As Natalie mentioned, I was a student here. And life as a student is great. In between studying, in between exams, you meet the most amazing people, and you make the most incredible friends, and take advantage of that while you're here. Life as a student doesn't just involve studying. Of course, that's a massive part of it. Of course, you need to study and ace your exams, which I know you're all going to do. But life as a student also involves having fun and meeting new people. We have excellent resources on campus. You can, like Natalie mentioned, we have an amazing facility in our Sport and Aquatic Centre. They have an outdoor weights area. They have cardio facilities. They've got an outdoor-indoor pool. They've got squash courts, if you love squash, volleyball. Who loves basketball? Like this video now if you like basketball. Yeah, so life as a student is great. We also host events. We have our own U-Bar. We've got our own ancient history museum you can visit in between classes if you like. We have our own art gallery, and our campus is actually one of the only campuses in Sydney that has their own lake. Okay, it's awesome to just sit there and have lunch. So highly recommend you do all of the above. If you're interested in working while in Australia, you're obviously going to need to apply for a tax file number, and getting a tax file number is very important. If you want to work while here, highly recommend you look into this before applying for any jobs. This ensures you get taxed at the correct rate for the amount of work you're doing. Our career service are fantastic, so they list student jobs on the database, which is located on careerhub.mq.edu.au. That includes on-campus positions as well. Our careers and employment service don't actually help find employment, but they do provide you with the necessary skills you need during the time in which you look for employment. So they host interview skills workshops. They have, they help you with your resume writing, how to structure your CV, your cover letter, how to structure your cover letter. You need all of those necessary skills, not only as a student when you're applying for casual and part-time jobs, but as a graduate going out into the workforce. Jobs on campus, you can visit campuslife.mq.edu.au. Also, faculties tend to post out job vacancies to their students as well if you fit their criteria, so keep an eye out on your student email too. Job boards on external sites include recruitment agencies. You don't need to pay a fee. Yay! Newspapers, check them all out, so local and national. Professional associations, and also personal contact can help you find positions. There's a list of websites listed there. Visit one of the following websites and you can also apply for jobs there. So seek.com.au, indeed.com.au, spotjobs.com.au. Okay, so we'll move on. Students sharing their experiences. Now this is my favorite part. We want to hear about everything you undertake here. We want you to hashtag MyMQ. We want to see your experiences. We want to experience it with you. So if you have your phone on you right now and you search hashtag MyMQ, I just want you to see what comes up. I want you to see our vibrant campus. I want you to see everything. And while you're here, we want you to do the same. We want you to hashtag. We want you to take scenic shots of our campus. We want you to take scenic shots of your time in Australia. We want you to hashtag your experiences because we want to experience them with you. So we'll move on. We've also got a fantastic support system on social media set up for international students through our Facebook group. The Macquarie University International Students official Facebook group. Just search it on Facebook. I presume you all have Facebook because you're all logging in. So search it after the webinar and take a look and see, join the group. This is where you can post all of your questions. So it will be monitored by one of our admins. You can connect with people who are just starting to study as you are, who are coming from overseas. Post in there. Who's studying Master of Accounting? Who's studying Master of Commerce? Who's from Spain? Who's from Mexico? Who's from Indonesia? We want you to post in there. We want you to find each other, start building connections. Okay? I'd like to thank you all for listening to me talk. I know I talk a lot, but you're all fantastic. And we can't wait to meet you in person.
Okay, thank you so much, Jackie. That was fantastic. Don't leave just yet. For any students who are keen to know more and want to ask more questions, definitely put like and put your thumbs up if you want to have. We're going to continue on and have some do some Q&A and open this floor to some questions and answers. All right. So let's continue and see what questions we have from the panel here. So we've got one student here, Kahindi, and she's asking a question about, do I have to get one ID before requesting airport pickup? Jackie, would you know about that? Before Kindy has to get her airport pickup, does she have to get one ID?
I suggest you contact our housing department because they oversee this service. So shoot them an email through housing@mq.edu.au. They could potentially be able to do something for you. Highly suggest you contact them ASAP. They need at least 5 days notice before your arrival. So good to contact them.
So the answer would be yes, it's good to contact them before you get it. And just so you know, just 5 days before, as mentioned by Jackie. That's very important. And Saturday is not a business day in Australia. The business days are Monday to Friday in Australia, just so you know, because some countries have Saturday as a business day. All right, next question. Angelina has mentioned how to retrieve my OneID account. She forgot her password, and she doesn't know how to retrieve it.
Not an issue at all. All you have to do is contact the IT help desk. They'll be more than happy to help you. They're all fantastic. I'll post their details in the comments section later on, but just for future reference, you can contact them at onehelp@mq.edu.au and also through their contact number, which is +612 if you're calling from overseas, 9850-4357. Okay?
Okay, so that's the number to contact, anything regarding to OneID, okay? So we'll move off to the next question. Charles is asking regarding the full classes for his subject. He's got full classes. He's already contacted the college. I'm assuming that is college faculty, but no one answered. And he's also contacted the teachers, but no one answered. So he wants to follow up on that. So in regards to if the classes are full, what do you do? That's Charles' question.
Yeah, I might take this one.
Yeah, for sure, Alicia.
So if the classes are full, you don't actually need to contact the faculty or the academic because we have like department administrators that are monitoring the classes are full. So there could be some, back end reasons in why they haven't released new classes, but they're constantly monitoring this, and they will release classes. So as long as you're enrolled, you're guaranteed a seat in the class.
Hope that helps you, Charles. You had other questions, I think, pertaining to enrollment, but that would be the answer to that one. So Jewel answered, can anyone clearly explain what session 1 and session 2? So that's quite easy. I can, if one of you guys can answer, but from my understanding, session 1 is basically our beginning session, so January, February enrollment, and July is session 2. So in Australia, you've got 2 sessions. If you're doing MUIC or other, programs, it could be different on our diploma or our foundation students, but usually there's 2 intakes. That is what, Jewel, that's what they're referring to session 1, session 2. Anybody want to further on that? Explain?
If you go back to the enrollment web pages, we've actually created some university language information. So you can go and have a look at that, and that will go into more detail
on
about the terminology that we might have used, and it will explain about session 1, session 2, and session 3.
Also on your guides, if you did receive that in Market, on the back they usually have also terminology. But everything's on the website is much more updated. So I would, exactly what Alicia says, go on the website and have a look on that if you're not familiar with certain terminology. Another one is Miguel has mentioned, is it possible to enroll in some units now and then enroll in other units later? Since he's still waiting for 2 waivers. Can I wait till an orientation is finished before he enrolls? Would that, Alicia, would you be able to answer?
Absolutely. I mean, if you can enroll in your units now, that's fantastic. So you can get organised and you know when and where you're going to classes. But if you're still waiting for waivers, that's absolutely fine. Enrollment's still open, and absolutely you can do it in orientation week, and you've actually got to the end of week 2 to finalise all your enrolments.
Okay, we've got a question on airport pickup. If you're not planning to live on campus, can are students able to also request airport pickup? Jackie, would you know the answer to this?
So I believe that...
Yes, so, go ahead.
I believe that it should be possible, but again, I would contact housing@mq.edu.au to confirm. We'll be posting in the comment section after this video as well regarding more detailed contact details and replying to most of these comments anyway.
So just to further on that, from my understanding, best person to contact is Claire Wade. She's fantastic. She's been here over 5 years. She's the person to talk to on that. But from my past experiences on that question, if it's in the surrounding area of Macquarie, no further than North Ryde area, if it's too far, if it's about, 30 minutes, or that would be fine, but it needs to be in the surrounding area. It can't be 3 hours Newcastle or something like that, right? Things like that. But yes, definitely what Jackie has mentioned, if you have any questions, we can contact the accommodation, and we will be sending out more detailed answers to your questions after this webinar. So don't worry about that. But from my understanding, it's yes if it's not too far. Okay. Another one is there online academic advisor available to talk to you to make right decisions on that?
Yep.
Any of you guys?
You can actually book an appointment with an academic advisor from your faculty or department by visiting ask.mq.edu.au.
Can they do that online though?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So send through an expression or statement just stating that I'm seeking academic advice. I'm currently studying this. This is my student ID. It's very important that you use your student ID throughout your communications with the university, as it's a student ID or student number.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's your identifying factor. Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, next question. If you guys are enjoying this Q&A, please put your thumbs up so we know you're liking this and we can go further. Okay? Okay, waiting for those likes to come up. So next one is, after enrolling and selecting our timetable, can we change it later on? That's a question for you, Alicia.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said before, enrollment's opened up until week 2. So you can make as many changes as you like. But as I always say to students, it's good to finalise and get started with actually what you're studying. Because that just gets you set up, So week 1, you're just ready to go. You have all your books and you attend class. We also have something called the census date. So if you're looking to withdraw from any of your units, just make sure you do it before the census date, which for session 2 is the 26th of August. And so that means you just don't incur any academic or financial liability for the unit if that's not the right unit for you.
Okay, there's one more question about units, is the subject level in 600 and 800. So one student is asking, could you help me with the difference between a 600 level unit and an 800 level unit?
So a 600 level unit are typically what we call our gateway. So they might be for students who are coming into a program at a master's level, but they might not necessarily have studied the bachelor equivalent to that master's. And so they might have to do some foundational units to get them up to speed before taking on the postgraduate level units, which are at 800 and 900 level.
Okay, we've got another question here from an American student asking, what should we wear? Like coming over, he's weather-wise, what kind of gear, what to expect. My advice is definitely bring a variety of clothes, something, because it does definitely rain in Sydney. It is, you'll be coming around winter time, so it gets quite chilly and windy, so definitely some rain gear, some wool clothes, but there's shopping centers here too. You can buy everything here. So everything is actually purchasable here, but definitely bring a variety of clothes. It does have beautiful sunny days, and the winter is not long. I'm originally from Canada, and it's definitely not as cold as Canada or the US. So definitely beautiful weather here in Sydney. Anything for you guys to add on what to unpack, what to bring over? Swimwear, yes, definitely. We've got a whole beach culture here, so definitely bring your swimwear. So we've got a few questions on how to get access to their student email. So we've got many students asking, how do I get access to my student email? How do we answer that, guys?
Yeah, so I mentioned before, so there's a link in your eStudent account, which will take you to the OneID activation page. So you just need to go through the first time login process just to activate your OneID account. And once you've activated your OneID account, this will give you access to your student email. So Macquarie uses Gmail for that. It'll give you access to iLearn, which is where all your online learning materials will be housed. And it will also give you access to free Wi-Fi on campus.
Okay, I've got very good, Alicia. I've got another question on breaks in the school year. So how many breaks in the school year does Macquarie have? This is a tricky question because it depends what program, because, if you're a foundation diploma student or you're full, bachelor or master students. But yeah, if any of you can answer, how many breaks officially does Macquarie have?
So it, again, like Natalie said, it varies depending if you're doing a Master of Management or a Master of Business Administration or a Master of Applied Finance. They follow specific term dates. So the term breaks will vary depending on the kind of course you're undertaking. Generally, for a bachelor or for any other master program, in between sessions, there's generally a longer break. Mid-session break usually goes for about 2 weeks. And then in the session that we're currently concluding now, or approaching conclusion, there's generally just over a month's break and a much longer break at the end of this year.
So Christmas time around that, if you're, in that area, December.
It's usually about break. 2 months.
Exactly.
And then for our students that are joining us at the college, they'll usually have a week in between each of the terms.
Exactly. Hopefully that answers your questions on breaks. What's the official class start date for session 2? This is also dependent upon but we can give a general answer to that.
So classes will start on the 30th of July, but depending on your timetable and what units you choose to study, some might not start until later on in the week, but classes officially start on the 30th of July. So that's the Monday.
Orientation week is also starting on the 23rd, so try and be here for that because all our societies will also be on show, so you can sign up for any societies or student groups there.
And they'll have welcome days throughout that week.
Welcome days as well, and international student talks, and a welcome by our Vice Chancellor as well. So pretty exciting.
So 23rd, if you can, it's very important that if you can come orientation, that whole week is designed for you to kind of assimilate and also integrate yourself at the Macquarie life. So it's quite a great opportunity. I would highly recommend to come during orientation. If I would make it mandatory, but it's not. But it's very important, because that's a way for you to ask any of the more further questions that you have, similar to what you're doing at the webinar right now. So next one, is there a dress code for all week? So there is definitely no dress code, but not swimwear.
Not swimwear.
Try not to wear that.
It's too cold for that.
Yes, exactly. So no, and even if it was too hot, I don't think that's swimwear. True. But smart casual is nice, but there's no dress code for that. Yes, exactly. And high heels maybe not, because we have a very big campus and a lot of walking during orientation. So definitely something comfortable Okay, next question. We've got a lot of questions on enrollment, but of course they're very individual based. So we will, Alicia will provide you answers more detailed later after the webinar. We will accumulate all your questions and definitely answer them, so don't worry about that. We'll further and talk about enrollment. We understand that is definitely a hot topic. Another question was, what are the required documents to submit to Macquarie University? That was a question from a student.
So that's an application question. Before coming here, you would have obtained your COE. You would have given us all of your documents and things like that. But if you want to apply to us, the kind of documents that we need.
I think the question for the student was what documents they need once they're here. Do they need to submit anything? Because all these students here have already accepted and coming to Macquarie. So I think one of the questions is pertaining what they will need when they're here to submit.
Just bring your passport, obviously, and bring a copy of your COE and letter of offer. You need to get your OSHC, which is your insurance sorted as well. And to do that, I think you need your passport. So you need to show them your passport and give them a copy of your CO because it has your policy number on it if you've taken up the university option for insurance.
But please note, many of the things are online anyway. You have e-electronic. So as long as you have passport identity, that's the most important thing, that primary document, your passport, they can find everything online. But your passport is very important.
And just to add to the passport, that's probably the easiest document that you can use to also get your campus card.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Let's continue on with a few more questions. How much time we have? We've got a little bit more, maybe 5 to 10 minutes to go through some questions. So we'll go through maybe 5 or 8 questions. All right. So how do I know which books to buy for my units? We have another question on that.
Okay, so pretty straightforward. You can look them up on your ILEN page or your unit guide. Generally, your unit convener, your lecturer will provide a link to the unit guide. In the unit guide, it should state whether you need any textbooks. An easier method to look them up as well would be through the Co-op Bookshop. They've actually got a search engine option for looking up your textbooks. So select Macquarie University, select session 2, and select the subject, and we'll show you what books you need. And we'll post the link to the Co-op Bookshop as well later on in the comment section.
Excellent
So
answer.
keep an eye.
Yeah, thank you so much. Another question, this is for you, Arpan. You had a question about, is there any full-time jobs available for international students in Sydney? Remember, you are a student, so there's no such thing as a full-time job. It will be part-time. As an international student, you are eligible to work 40 hours every fortnight. That means every 2 weeks, okay? So before you even think about getting a job, make sure you enroll, you do all the necessary things to be a student. But also, first step is to get your tax file number. So your TFN, that's what it stands for, tax file number, is the first thing before applying for a job. And you're only eligible to work part-time or casual in some cases. During term breaks, you are right, you can work full-time. Just so you know, we have an amazing career hub here to help you. We had this month alone, and we've got Google coming on campus, IBM coming on campus. The student associations run these fantastic events. Also, career services run events where Google come every semester. It's fantastic. So definitely go to the career section. If you want, we can send you details on there, the web link on that. And yeah, just so you know, tax file number beforehand. Okay, so next question we have, maybe we can have another 5 and then we'll be closing the webinar. Next one is, can I still attend the physical lecture class if I've enrolled into a live stream lecture? Are attendance taken in class? So in other words, is it necessary for me to come to class if I do the live stream?
Usually it will vary depending on the subject. For most subjects, lectures are not compulsory. It's tutorials and practicals that are. If you've enrolled to go into a lecture that's online in your timetable, I do recommend that you still attend the lecture in person because it is a possibility. In the following weeks, students tend to realise that they can listen to it online, so there tends to be more room in the lecture. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, next question. Is there a session 3 that's coming from one student? And can we select any units to study then to help us reduce the study load in the following year?
There is a session 3. So you can choose up to 2 subjects, but it's important you know that the subjects available in session 3 are limited. Not all subjects are offered in session 3. So that's something you need to look up depending on if these subjects fit into your study schedule. And to do that, I highly suggest you see an academic advisor when you're on campus in your first week. You can reduce the study load for the following sessions. However, it's important that you know as well that if you do that, you also need to apply for reduced study load via ask.mq.edu.au to fulfill the necessary visa requirements of a student visa.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up, but we do have one last question. And one student's asking about, is it true that the Macquarie University station will not be open this semester? Okay, so answer to this question is we are having a train upgrade. So basically it's going to be so fantastic for you guys. But in the meantime, what we're working closely with the New South Wales government in ensuring that we have all the ways for you to get on campus. So we will have bus lanes, routes, and so forth to compensate for this train upgrade. So yes, you are correct. During the session 2, we will have upgrading our train to be even more fantastic for you. Does anyone have to answer to this question further? I want to elaborate on this.
I think you pretty much covered it. Yeah.
Okay, so hope that was helpful, guys. Hope that really allowed you to kind of understand a little bit more before you come to Macquarie. We'd like to welcome you, and we're very excited, as Jackie mentioned, Alicia, in meeting you all. So we'll be sending all the, the list of maybe some questions that weren't answered. We'll definitely answer them and send that to you. Okay, so we'd like to just all say thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you soon.